Competitive COD League fans, how are we doing? My name is Franz and welcome back to the channel. Guys, if you didn't know already, Major 4 has just finished up with LA Thieves taking home the tournament victory over my team in OPTIC, Texas. I know a lot of people are OPTIC, Texas fans. I am as well. I've been following them for quite some time now. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, my name is Franz. Welcome to the channel, guys. I go over a lot of sports betting, prize picks, props. We go for a lot of those 6-man entries to try to get you guys that 25 times money back. Whatever you put in, you can get 25 times back. So that is what we go for a lot of the time on these YouTube videos. We are throwing in a lot of 2-man and 3-man prop picks coming up in a couple weeks when the matches do start. A lot of people have been asking about when the matches are starting. It is a couple weeks from now. You can find that on the Twitch at Call of Duty League or on their YouTube. And then all their information, all their updates is happening on their Twitter at COD League or something like that. So make sure to check them out. I do love watching Call of Duty, and this is kind of what all this is for, just to spread awareness about the league and support the league and maybe make a little bit of money doing it. Not just for a couple weeks, so just have a little bit of downtime. A lot going on in the scene right now, and we're just going to break some things down and also go through my tier list for how teams are looking going into the final stage of Major 5. And then onto the Champs tournament, which is obviously the big one. Everyone wants to win Champs because that is really what is talked about at the end of the year. No one really cares about the whole year when Champs happens, because that is what matters most. So jumping in here, guys, a little bit of information here. Boston Breach actually is the only team so far who has made a change here going into Stage 5. They decided to drop the final piece of this starting Boston Breach team. This Breach team only became a team last year, and Nero was this final player on the team who was part of that core lineup. I think Vivid comes onto the team because he does bring that leadership role, that more just dirty work kind of player, and they didn't really have that before. They were just a huge slay heavy team. A lot of their matches this stage, they outslayed their opponents, but they actually would lose the matches or lose the maps like 3-1s or 3-2s, but they would outslay their opponents. So it's a very strange dynamic for Breach. They are a very slay heavy team. However, they do need that dirty work player, that person who's gonna make those routes, play in the hill a little bit more. And Vivid can do that for that team. And I do think Beans are awakening. One of these two ARs in the middle here needs to pick up that pace as well. So really excited to see this Breach team going into Stage 5. They had a rough go here. If we go back to the bracket, they just petered out here, which was very sad for them. Here's the CDL points, guys, going into the final stage here. Atlanta obviously pulling at the top, but it is a very close race in that top 4. And people are looking at this big 3 as like kind of the barrier to break. And then you kind of just don't want to play any of this top 3. So the 6, 7, 8 spot is kind of like the hot seats for New York and Toronto. They want to stay out of these 6, 7, 8s because then you will have to play one of the big 3, as people are calling it here with LA, OPTIC, and Atlanta, because they are obviously the 3 biggest orgs in the league, representing some pretty powerhouse esports teams. So definitely looking out for the big 3. And then I feel like Minnesota LA, this is another, or Minnesota Vegas, sorry, is another matchup here to look out for. 150 to 130 is their CDL points. If Vegas can turn up in their final stage here, which Champs will be held in Las Vegas, so it would be really cool to see the home team be there for Champs. So I don't know, I'm not too fond of this Minnesota Rocker team. I don't really like the coaching staff there. They kind of been there for a while and haven't really seen the performances they've wanted, so I feel like they need to switch it up there. I don't know if all the players should go. I feel like they do have some talented pieces, but it's just not really working out for them. And I mean, if they have a decent Stage 5 here, maybe they'll prove me wrong, but I'm hoping, I don't know, I'm hoping Vegas turns up and Minnesota doesn't, because I would like to see Vegas in there. I know what a lot of people would like to see that as well. Moving on here, guys, let's go into our CDL tier list here. Kind of just jump into all these teams, where I think they line up, where everyone kind of is at, and kind of just my personal opinion about all these teams, and kind of what it means for our prop bets and what we're going to be betting on here coming up in the next coming weeks here when the matches do start up. We will see London in this next stage. I don't think they really will do much. Maybe they'll have one, standout series. Maybe something will surprise them in a controller S&D. But for the most part, we're going to be betting on a lot of unders on this team. I will look at like Scraps as an AR, maybe Yuli. Maybe Yuli will pick it up, so we'll see who kind of is having that slower performance, and then we'll bet on a slower player for that team. So looking at a lot of unders for London, and that also involves LAG here with a lot of unders as well, because Oregon announced that they were pretty much cutting it after this year. Like, they're just done. They're out of esports. They're pulling all the money. They are owned by, I believe, the Cronkies, who own Walmart. So LAG also D tier. Florida, I do like them. I'm going to put them in C. A lot of people may disagree with this. However, I think they do have a fight in them. Like, they have a good core lineup. I like Capsule as that aggressive sub. I like Fellow in that leadership role. A lot of people have been hating on this team. Brack does need to pick it up in that AR slang category. I do expect him to be that more aggressive AR for this team, and he needs to really pick it up there. Vegas Legion, I really hope they have a good series or a good stage. However, they are playing a really tough schedule. They pretty much play 5 of the top 6 teams, so it's going to be a tough schedule for Vegas. I'm really looking at like Standy here to have a really good performance against them. He is one of the top SMGs in the game, in my opinion, and he can put up those numbers. He did it against Toronto, and he can do it against other teams like Seattle, maybe in New York they play well against. So I'm going to be in C. Moving on, we're going to put Minnesota in B. C. I'm putting them in C, a little bit better than Vegas, obviously, because they did have a good showing here. However, I don't love this team, and I don't think they're going to perform well online, and that will cause them to start in the losers bracket again. I don't have belief in this team, and they're so up and down. The players are really good, however, they're just not working well together, and I think it's just going to be another tough stage for Minnesota. They do have to land like qualifier matches where they do this like homestand. Could be interesting. I think they play Boston and London, so we'll see how that goes. I do think they will probably lose to Boston on land, so maybe go 1-1 there on the land splits, and then I'm pretty sure the rest of their stage is kind of tough in the scheduling, so we'll see how Minnesota does. I don't really think they'll play too hot. I'm expecting them just to have really shaky series between some of these players, so will be interesting to bet on as well. I kind of put Boston under New York. New York did get top 4, so we're actually going to move New York up to A. Sorry about that. And then Seattle actually is going to go in this B tier. Toronto, I'm actually just going to fill this out, then we can talk about each one of them, and then we have Atlanta right there. So yeah, we're gonna start here with Boston. We talked about them a little bit earlier, just a little bit too slay heavy, and they just need a little bit more structure in some of these hard points. They do have really good slay numbers, so look for me to maybe bet some overs here, or maybe an under on a slower S&D performance. But yeah, we're gonna go a lot of overs for this team because they are a very slay heavy team. Seattle is the very much same way. Pred has been popping off, and he just needs some help. So if Mac does pop off here, I do expect them to have a really good stage. However, they just haven't been showing it, and they bow out top 8, I believe Seattle does. So just really tough for Seattle. We're gonna go them in the B tier. Toronto, they get a top 6 placement. Kind of expected, going 1-4 in the online matches. However, they just weren't playing S&D very well. I do believe they clean that up. Their respawns are really strong. Their control is insanely strong, so I do expect this team to really turn up this stage. Good for Toronto, top 6, not probably where they want to be, but we do expect Scrap to get a little more help. I want Kleenex especially to turn up in that SMG role. Inside has always been doing his thing. We have New York. Decent stage. They got lucky kind of with their scheduling. They played Minnesota, Florida, and Vegas. They beat all those teams and then bow out against FaZe. FaZe kind of got lucky with the BZ turning up with like a incredible S&D performance with 16 kills or something, and then also incredible control performance. So it was kind of all a BZ. New York just got smoked in that 3-1. they play well. They just got to figure out S&D. Their S&D performances have not been good. Kind of same with this Toronto team. Both of these teams need to really turn up in the S&Ds. And then you have the big three here in the S tier. Atlanta FaZe obviously bowing out at third place. We're going to put them right behind OPTIC Texas. I feel like Atlanta hasn't really figured out their hard point yet. The numbers haven't looked good for them in the slaying category. It's like a BZ will pop off in a hard point here and there. However, Slasher had a rough online stage. I know he turned up here in the qualifier or here in the tournament. But Celium was slow in the hard points. Simp was slow in the hard points. He's not dropping numbers like he used to. So really expect those guys to turn it up if they want to compete with these top two teams, because I feel like these top two teams are ways away from this team in hardpoint. OPTIC Texas and LA both have really deep map pools, and they're just kind of beating up this Atlanta FaZe team in the respawns. Obviously, Atlanta's beating everyone in S&D. That is why they're, one of the greatest, and they will always go deep in tournaments because they are great at that S&D game mode. However, in those hard points, it's just really tough for them to compete against these top teams, and that's why I think they always lose like this 3-1 or 3-0 series against these top two teams, because it's pretty much, all the respawns that get taken from them. So look for Atlanta FaZe to turn up in the respawns here in this next stage to clean up those, and I feel like they will have a decent showing or maybe win another tournament here coming up. Next, we have OPTIC Texas. We're going to put them at the S tier behind LA Thieves. I love this team. I love the boys in green. I don't know. I feel like Ghosty has been such a huge implementation to this team. A lot of people have been doubting him. However, it's just a huge turn up since Illy was here. They only got top 4 with Illy, and now they have 2 top 2 placements with Ghosty. I think they just got to get over that hump, fill in a little bit of those cracks in some of those control game modes. I know they keep losing that Asilo. They lost it 2 times against Toronto and then here against LA, both in the finals. So that's really tough for this Asilo control. So really expect OPTIC Texas to turn up here in this final stage. And I think if they just clean up some of those control game modes, I know they're grinding every day in the lab. So I don't know. I don't think any piece is bad here. I don't think anything needs to change. They just need to keep grinding, keep practicing, expand the map pool, and they're going to get there. I think, in my personal opinion, I hope they win the last 2 majors. That's what I'm predicting. However, anything can happen in both Atlanta, both LA, maybe even New York or Toronto can turn up here and take one of these championships. But my personal opinion, I do want OPTIC Texas to take home some cheddar, to take home the gold here. Next up, finally, we have LA Thieves. Boys played insane. The teamwork is insane. The comms are insane. OPTIC Texas also has insane comms. I think Atlanta FaZe is lacking in that category. People have been saying a lot of less small talk, so they need to ramp up the chatter there. However, in these top 2 teams, and especially LA Thieves, this championship team, they're teaming for so long now, the just comms are so fluid, so controlled, and they just really know where everything is at. They're always setting up 2v1s and just really trading out their kills well. So I really like LA Thieves in this top spot, especially in these respawn game modes. Their controls looked unstoppable. They always win that swing game mode, and then the S&D has really ramped up these final few stages, and then obviously the hard point. They were able to beat up OPTIC Texas on a couple of those, especially that Hydro. A lot of people are saying this is kind of their map. Hydro is LA Thieves map, so you don't really want to play them on that. So yeah, really good showing for this LA Thieves team, and OPTIC just wasn't able to keep up in that final, so they do take the top spot. Decent tier list, W tier list. Like if you enjoyed it, like if you enjoyed this analysis. I hope we can do more of these analysis videos and go through some of the changes that are happening in the COD league, as this league is always changing. There are always tweets going on, always stuff changing in the league, and I really love being a part of it. So thank you for joining us here. The picks are going to be coming out very soon. You can join the Discord, as a lot of people like throwing up CSGO picks, and I'm fine with that, helping out the community with those picks. But yeah, the COD League picks will be back in a couple weeks when the league does start up again. I know the boys are all practicing, grinding for that, and we will see them perform here in a couple weeks. I am going to get up all those picks as the board does drop. Hopefully it does drop early. We will see what happens there. So thank you so much for following along. I really appreciate it. Go sub, go like, go follow the Twitter, the Discord, support us on Twitch as well. We will get the streams out very soon. And I really appreciate all the support on all the channels. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.